Garrett Blevins here with coaching call number 2. Today I'm just going to have this playing in the background. It should just go through the playlist. Hopefully that'll work out. I may try to get something more interesting so you guys don't just have to stare at a screen the whole time. But in general, I only have a couple of questions this week. Most of it's been answered in the forum. Some of you I've responded to you just through email. I don't really like to make you wait, so if I can answer the question quickly, I will do that, even though that's not something I always guarantee to do. So first thing, I've had a couple of questions about modifying workouts to go to kind of impromptu or mid-cycle competitions, whether that's deadlift only or bench only or something like that. And here's the situation. One, it's never going to be as optimal to do a program mid-cycle or jump into a meet with just 2 or 3 weeks of prep. You're never going to do as well as you did if you had waited to the end of the cycle. That said, this is a hobby, and we're supposed to enjoy ourselves. And even though something is not always optimal, it might be a lot of fun. Something might come up where you want to really do it for whatever reason, and we can accommodate that. The way that you deal with that is that you're going to increase the intensity maybe a week before or 2 weeks before and get up closer to the 80 to 90% range for your lifts. So you prime yourself for some of the heavier weights. So that's going to usually include upping the weights 5 to 10% and subtracting a rep or two from each set. Additionally, the week before the meet, not the week of the meet, but the week before, you want to cut probably your sets in half. So if you were doing 6 sets of squats, you do 3 instead. If it's an odd number like 5, you'd probably take 5 down to 3, not 5 down to 2. And if you were doing 3 sets, you'd probably drop it down only 1 set or so. So that's how you would modify the volume. Now, week of the meet, you're not only going to have cut the sets in half, so if you were normally planning to do 6, you're doing 3, but you would also take about 50% or 60% of your normal bar weight and use that for your working weights. So really the RPE would go from being an 8 or a 9 down to like a 6 or off the scale for that week of. And you wouldn't do any of your workouts if it's a meet on Saturday. You wouldn't do any of the workouts past Wednesday, I would say. Again, it's not an optimal peak, but if you're going to do something kind of on the fly, that's about the best way that you can taper and prime yourself a little bit with some heavier weights without deviating completely off the program, and then come back into it maybe with hopefully with a deload or something, a deload week, and then move back into your normal training. That said, there were a couple of exercise questions, just how to implement the workout. So the way that I talk about bench presses is I asked in the questionnaire if it is wide, medium, or close grip for your competition style. Now, if you're going to use a close grip in the off-season or even with some of the in-season work, the way that you're going to do that is by bringing your hands in about 2.5 to 3 inches from wherever your competition grip is. If you're a medium gripper, you're only going to bring it in a little bit. You don't want to ever have if you put your arms straight out in front of you, like locked out, you don't want your index fingers to be closer than your shoulders. Where your hands are so close to each other, you have to flare your elbows and really twist your wrist a lot to do the lift. So you always want your arms only to be straight out at shoulder width. You don't really want them closer than that on close grip. That said, if you're normally a really wide grip bencher, a closer grip for you, 3 or 4 inches in, is going to be a pretty drastic difference in your movement pattern. And that's enough. You don't have to go all the way into shoulder width. You can just bring it in a little bit. That's something to play around with. The further you are in the off season, the closer you can bring your grip in and the more modification you can have. Now, additionally, pause above parallel squats means you squat all the way down into the hole, and then you come back out of the hole and pause above parallel. So you've completed a full range of motion in the squat where you go down to the hole, come back up through parallel, pause, and then finish the rep. Another thing that came up was specialty bars or bands and speed work. There's definitely a way and a place for speed work in programming. It's not part of the normal package that I present, but it is something you can modify your workout to. There's some specific information in that on the forum on how to do that. Research has normally been done, and there's actually a recent study out by Mike Zordos about having a hypertrophy block on the first day of the week, having a power block on the second workout of the week, And then on your third workout of the week, then do your strength phase, where that actually had better results because it allowed more total volume to be done during the week than traditional DUP that goes hypertrophy, strength, power. Now, that doesn't mean that that particular setup is the best DUP program that could ever be imagined. It just means that doing hypertrophy, power, than strength is better. Again, this was because there was more volume done by those people because they had more time to recover for their AMRAPs in between their volume day and their strength day because they had that lighter power day. Speed work is not necessarily going to make you any stronger. What it does is allows you to recover, which may allow you to amass more total volume. In any case, that's the deal with speed work, and if you move with specialty bars or something like that as part of a kind of West Side implemented method, that's okay, but just make sure that as you get into your in-season blocks, you are using a straight bar and you're getting very close to the competition movements. In your off-season, you can kind of do whatever you want. If you want to do a cambered bar, if you want to do, any sort of different exercise, you want to throw some specialty bars in there, go for it. That's okay. But again, in-season should be more specific. I've had a few questions just in people in YouTube, and I want to address this, that bodybuilding training and the DUP style programming that I implement and give out is not that different. You can adjust the assistance exercises as needed with isolation movements to bring up weaknesses. But the point is, the off-season cycles are specifically geared towards building muscle. And if anybody wonders if powerlifting style training can work, you can look at a Lane Norton or somebody like that who they really adjust their diet and some of their training when they're getting prepared for a show or something like that, but you're still going to be using those compound movements. These are the best movements to utilize the most amount of muscle and therefore to grow the most amount of muscle that are available. Compound barbell movements are superior to anything else. The reason why you do isolation movements is to bring up weak points and make sure your symmetry is on point and all those sorts of things. But if you're just trying to get big and strong, you need to amass volume, and the best way to do that is through compound barbell movements. Now, that does not mean that you can't finish off with some extra assistance work once you've finished your main sets. But a squat is going to grow your legs better than anything else, in my opinion. That doesn't mean that leg press or hack squats don't have their place in a bodybuilder's regimen, but it means that squats with a barbell certainly have a place in that. And so it can work for a bodybuilding aspect. The hypertrophy blocks are specifically made to grow your muscles, so they set you up so that you can peak that muscle and have a better performance. More cross-sectional area is going to make you stronger, or potentially stronger once you've trained it and adapted it for a 1-rep max. I think that's it for this week, kind of a short thing. I will announce also that in general, the beta testing is over. We've got things running pretty well. Things seem to be going smoothly. And so I'm going to be launching a website fairly soon. And the big thing that's going to be different with that is that you're going to be able to buy the program in 5-week blocks. And that means that the price is going to be split up so that it's more affordable. And you'll be able to pay on a subscription basis. Likewise, the people who have signed up currently, because they help me and help me troubleshoot a lot of issues, will always have access to the forum and email help. But new clients will have that during their coaching subscription, but afterwards can pay like around 50 cents a day to keep that forum subscription active, as well as email access. Now, some of the people have filled out for the beta testing but had a start date that hasn't come up yet. I'm going to grandfather you all in there with that original group that came through because, you were willing to help. You're just starting a little later. But when the website is up, it'll have all the information on there as well as some of the pricing and everything else and some more information. So I'm hoping to go live with that later this week. This is going to be mid-September 2015, so it should be up very soon, and I'll be accepting clients through that. In any case, I hope wherever you're at, you all are doing well. Blessings.